When our two boys were in high school, they played in the band, which meant they played at football games, which meant my wife and I went to a lot of football games for about 4 or 5 years. And it turned out we had a blast there, both because of the band, but also because high school football is pretty awesome. And I had forgotten that. I hadn't been to a high school football game for probably 2 decades. And I got there and I started watching, and there's drama and there's great plays. And these guys are out there just playing for all they're worth. And it was a blast. But here's the thing, practically everybody on that team is at the pinnacle of their career. That's as far as they're going. Now, some of them will go on and play at college, but everybody there is an amateur. And that doesn't make it bad football. I think that's what surprised me a little bit, is how good it was. But very few of them are going to go on. And those that do are going to go on and play at college. And college football is stunning. I mean, it'll fill stadiums, as we know. But the truth is about college football is nearly everyone who's playing there is at the pinnacle of their career too. And very few of them are going to go pro. But some will. And what's interesting is you can kind of tell the ones that are going on to the next level. You can tell because of how they're showing up and the work they do, and the way that they take it seriously in a way that maybe the others don't. And granted, maybe there is some natural talent involved as well, but natural talent's not enough to go pro. You have to do some work and you have to show up in a particular kind of way. And it's also true that amateur football isn't bad football. It's perfectly fine and it's worth watching. But man, there's something about the pros. They're bigger, stronger, they move faster. And there's something about amateurs that are going pro. And maybe you could even tell along the way. And that got me thinking about, what does it mean to go pro as a business person inside of business context? What's an amateur look like and what does a pro look like? And can you kind of tell when people are going pro? How do they show up? What kind of work are they doing? And I began to think about that. And I came up with a list, and it's a growing list of attributes of business people who are going pro. Now, one of the things I want to say right off the front is that this is just a metaphor, and there's no NFL of business. There's no clear way to know. It's not revenue. It's not number of employees. It's not awards, there is no Super Bowl of business, best I can tell, but it's a metaphor for a concept. Over the course of this series, I'm going to play with some of those ideas of the difference between an amateur and a pro, and what does it look like to go pro. Here's some samples. I think pros in business love sales and marketing. You'll never hear a pro say, I don't want to be salesy. It's an amateur statement. Pros love sales and marketing. They may not be good at it themselves, but they make room for it. They understand that sales is oxygen to a business. I think pros love sales and marketing. Two, I think pros know their numbers. They know their stats. They know the metrics. They're not afraid of accounting. They may not be good at it, but they know how to read the story that numbers tell. You'll never hear a pro say, well, you can make numbers say anything. That's true, you can, but it's just as true as saying you can make words say anything. Pros know how to read numbers and put the number story together of a business. They know their metrics, they know their numbers, they make room for the finance and accounting leg of the business. Here's another one. Pros set goals and love to be measured. It's just a big difference between amateurs and pros. You won't hear pros say, well, you can't measure that. And when they do, they realize, wait a minute, there's a way in which you can. What we often mean when we say you can't measure that is you can't measure it precisely. I mean, that's often true, but you can measure anything you can experience. Pros set goals and they love to be measured. Here's the final one for now as a sampling. Pros know how to engage conflict and resolve it. Amateurs avoid conflict. Now, when engaging conflict, there's timing always matters, but pros know the process of engaging it and bringing it to resolution. They are not thinking about healthy conflict and unhealthy conflict. The health of conflict is found in how it's resolved, and they do it fast. They're not afraid of it. There's a lot of things that separate pros and amateurs. And again, I want to make it clear that I don't think amateur is bad and pro is good. It's just that there's a difference. And if you want to go on the journey of being a next gen leader, of really grabbing a hold of your business and taking it somewhere, and then creating space for others to go with you, I think it takes some professional aptitudes. We hope you enjoy this series as we unpack them and explore what does it mean to go pro.